Chapter 255. Collision. Golden Core Magic Treasure. Lin Fei unmistakably caught the exclamation of true person illusion. Speaking of Golden Core Magic Treasures, he possessed one. It was the Sky-Reaching Tower. However, the Sky-Reaching Tower was a sealed magic treasure. Moreover, Lin Fei was not a cultivator. He lacked spiritual power. Thus, he couldn't unleash the full potential of the Sky-Reaching Tower. Yet this Great Mountain Seal, evidently, was a fearsomely potent magic treasure. Moreover, it was jointly activated by two Foundation establishment true persons. Its might was earth-shattering. Nearly enough to subdue any power beneath the Golden Core true person. At this moment, escape was undeniably futile. The towering Great Mountain Seal, its dreadfulness was unparalleled. Once it descended, even unparalleled speed would be moot. The several thousand meters saber essence was previously displayed by Lin Fei. Now, juxtaposed with the Great Mountain Seal, seemed utterly insignificant. Such is the way of the immortals. Chi cultivators' strength was never merely about their spiritual powers. It was about their magic treasure. A powerful magic treasure could make a Foundation establishment true person's strength skyrocket, even rivaling a limit martial saint. And a Golden Courtier magic treasure could render a Foundation establishment true person invincible. Yes, invincible. Invincible beneath the Golden Core. In the ancient continent, though both the paths of immortals and martial arts coexisted, in reality, the pinnacle martial artist of the same tier was largely dominated by the Chi cultivators. The reason was simply magic treasure. Chi cultivators could strike disproportionately. For instance, if a Chi condensation cultivator possessed a magic treasure, he could easily dominate all martial grandmasters. A Foundation establishment true person with a Golden Core magic treasure could also nearly dominate martial saints. However, the martial artist had its advantages. That is, martial artists rely solely on their own strength. Be it grandmasters or martial saints, that power is inherent, independent of any external objects. Without their magic treasure, many Foundation establishment true persons often stand inferior to martial saints. Even with a Golden Courtier magic treasure, do you truly think they are so easily obtained? Clearly, it's not likely. When a magic treasure reaches the Golden Courtier, it must undergo the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Each Golden Core magic treasure is immensely precious. Unless supported by a major immortal sect, it's virtually impossible for a Foundation establishment true person to have it. Clearly, behind the 5 light true person and the clear light true person, there must be a powerful immortal sect. Perhaps their backgrounds are even incredibly prominent. However, delving into their identities now is of no further significance. The Great Mountain Seal descended rapidly, threatening to grind Lin Fei and everyone on the Immortal Mist Island into dust. The very next moment, without any hesitation, Lin Fei's saber momentum erupted. The terrifying saber momentum surged forth, engulfing the entirety of the Fairy Mist Island. And that wasn't all. The essence of Lin Fei's blood vibrated. Boom. Above his head, another flower surprisingly materialized. The energy flower. With the appearance of the energy flower, a Senwen aura, spanning 1,000 meters, instantaneously spread out, subtly merging with the saber momentum. The blood energy domain. In this instant, Lin Fei channeled every ounce of his power. Every technique was fully unleashed. Energy flower, chi flower, blood energy domain, saber momentum, saber essence. And yes, the saber techniques. Swoosh. The chi flower above Lin Fei's head quivered slightly. Following this, massive amounts of saber essence shot out, morphing into a sacred, solemn, and vast saber. Holy Spirit saber. Swoosh. Another surge of saber essence shot forth, transforming into a beam of rainbow light, spanning across the void. Rainbow transformation saber. Swoosh. The third stream of saber essence emerged, bursting forth. It was enveloped in raging flames, as if the entire sky was painted in a fiery hue. Flame-burning heaven saber. Merge. Suddenly, the three sabers converged, and the saber essence intensified. 1,000 meters, 5,000 meters, 10,000 meters. It reached an astounding 10,000 meters. At this moment, Lin Fei held nothing back. Every ounce of his saber essence erupted, combining the three sabers into one, expanding it to 10,000 meters. Furthermore, Lin Fei's blood energy domain seemed to merge seamlessly with the saber momentum. Under the augmentation of the saber momentum and blood essence, the enormous 10,000 meters saber essence faintly bore a shade of blood red. A terrifying aura immediately descended upon the entire fairy mist island. Third. At last, someone couldn't withstand the pressure of the Great Mountain Seal and Lin Fei's saber momentum and saber essence, collapsing directly to the ground. Even the Foundation establishment true persons had to desperately channel their energy to ensure they weren't overwhelmed and forced to the ground. Everyone stared in shock at the massive saber and towering peak in the sky. Two flowers. And even the blood energy domain. Elder Lin is even more formidable than I imagined. In fact, Elder Lin's saber momentum has transcended. Once it's perfected, wouldn't he be able to condense three flowers? By then, with the three flowers converging atop, he might achieve the status of a martial sovereign. But facing a golden courtier magic treasure, I fear. Lucian true person murmured softly. He knew all too well, at this point, even if he was a formidable figure on the Hades list, he was utterly powerless. He didn't even have the right to intervene. What a martial saint! To think he could manifest two flowers. And even the saber momentum and blood energy domain. Among the martial saints, he must be the most elite. Perhaps even worthy of being labeled as a martial sovereign seed. Pity, he's up against our Great Mountain Seal. You doomed. Great Mountain Seal, descend. 5 light true persons shouted loudly. Together with clear light true person, they channeled their full power to activate the Great Mountain Seal. Clearly, they had recognized Lin Fei's extraordinary prowess. The martial saint before them wasn't just any ordinary martial saint. So, they took no chances. They unleashed all their power, even consuming elixirs to pour all their energy into the Great Mountain Seal. Looking at the hovering Great Mountain Seal above, it resembled an ancient divine mountain, as if it could crush anything and everything. Such was the might of a golden core-level magic treasure. Compared to the sky-reaching tower that Lin Fei had encountered previously, the difference was night and day. After all, the sky-reaching tower was only activated by Chi cultivators and paled in comparison to the 2 Foundation establishment cultivators beforehand. These 2 Foundation establishment cultivators were undoubtedly among the elite, their prowess matching that of the limit martial saints. Lin Fei could see that much. Moreover, he even suspected that these 2 Foundation establishment true persons were on the brink of facing their tribulations, but for reasons known only to them, they hadn't. However, all of this was now inconsequential. Slash. Lin Fei clapped his hands together. It seemed as though he was gripping the 10,000 meters blade in the void. He fiercely slashed at the hovering Great Mountain Seal. Boom. The void seemed to crack open. With this slash, Lin Fei channeled every ounce of his skills and power. The saber momentum evolved, taking on myriad forms of saber techniques and intentions, all of which poured into the 10,000-meter blade. This was a true strike, where spirit, energy, and vitality were perfectly aligned. With this slash, Lin Fei felt as if he had surpassed the martial saint realm, reaching a level that was somewhere between a martial sovereign and a martial saint. He felt as though he had become one with the slash. It appeared as a singular slash, but it was a culmination of hundreds, even thousands of Lin Fei's saber techniques, melded with his profound understanding and mastery of the saber. Rumble. At last, Lin Fei's 10,000 meters saber fiercely collided with the Great Mountain Seal. The terrifying aftermath instantly tore the void asunder. The vast sea below was instantly stirred, giving rise to monstrous waves and whirlpools. It felt like the world was being turned upside down. A muffled boom echoed, sending shockwaves through everyone present. It felt as if their consciousness had been halted at that moment. All that remained was the wildly rampaging saber in the void and the all-suppressing, annihilating great mountain seal. Chapter 256. Tai Dao Palace. Third. A tremendous noise echoed across the sea, stirring a vast splash of waves. When the dust and smoke cleared, everyone's eyes widened in shock. The great mountain seal was nowhere to be seen. Lin Fei remained, hovering in the void. All that was left were ripples and waves on the sea surface. Moreover, a massive whirlpool had formed in the water. Was the great mountain seal sent flying? 5 light true person and clear light true person looked on in disbelief. What had they just witnessed? The formidable great mountain seal, after clashing head-on with Lin Fei's saber, was actually sent flying, plunging directly into the sea, causing the formation of that vast whirlpool. Yet Lin Fei remained untouched. The Two-Peak Foundation establishment true persons couldn't quite believe it. Was Lin Fei's slash really that powerful? A head-on collision with a golden core-level magic treasure great mountain seal, only to send it flying. This was no longer the power of a martial saint or a foundation establishment true person. Even if he hadn't reached the level of a martial sovereign, he was close. Go. Without hesitation, 5 light true person and clear light true person turned to leave. They quickly cast a spell, trying to recall the great mountain seal. However, it was already too late. Boom. Although Lin Fei's saber essence was drained, he still had his saber momentum. In an instant, Lin Fei's saber momentum descended, making the 2 foundation establishment true persons feel like they were trapped in quicksand. Every move became incredibly difficult. Immeasurable fist. Lin Fei launched a punch. Indeed, his saber essence had been exhausted and would take time to recover. However, the power of the martial artists lies within themselves. A martial artist's body is still immensely formidable. Especially for Lin Fei, who had condensed the energy flower. He also possessed the blood energy domain. Thus, even if his saber essence was depleted, Lin Fei's body remained incredibly strong. Boom. Lin Fei's blood energy domain encompassed both the 5 light true person and clear light true person. Immediately, their chi and blood were suppressed. Their entire beings, under the dual pressure of saber momentum and blood energy domain, found it almost impossible to even move an inch, let alone escape. The main issue was that their spiritual power had also been exhausted by the great mountain seal. If they had abundant spiritual power, they could infinitely deploy the great mountain seal and genuinely utilize its utmost power. Sadly, there was no opportunity for that now. Lin Fei's terrifying punch made it seem as if the very air was exploding. The force of his punch hadn't even landed on them yet, but they felt the chilling touch of death. They were very clear, if that punch landed on them, given their current state of 0 spiritual power and relying solely on their magic bodies, they wouldn't stand a chance against Lin Fei's strike. Even if they had spiritual power but were without the great mountain seal, they couldn't withstand this punch. We can't die, we mustn't die. You can't kill us, even if you are a martial saint of the ancient origin sect, you can't kill us. We are from the Tai Dao Palace. Third. The 2 foundation establishment true persons couldn't even finish their sentence before Lin Fei's punch landed on them. In an instant, their bodies were blown apart by his strike. This punch of Lin Fei, which embodied the energy flower and the suppression of the blood energy domain, was so potent that even a top-tier martial saint would struggle against it. And these 2 foundation establishment true persons, devoid of any spiritual power, stood no chance. The Two-Peak Foundation establishment true persons died just like that. Obliterated by a single punch from Lin Fei, leaving no trace behind. Lin Fei's gaze shifted as he looked toward the vast sea below. Splash! The great mountain seal shot out from the water. Without the support of spiritual power, it quickly reverted to its original state, a small square object, no larger than a fist. Lin Fei's figure flashed, arriving instantly in front of the great mountain seal. He reached out to grasp it. Whoosh! However, the great mountain seal was even faster. It transformed into a streak of light, soaring into the sky, heading towards the horizon. In a blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace. Did it just fly away? Lin Fei's brow furrowed. Though he had repelled the great mountain seal, he hadn't inflicted any harm upon it. He was indeed intrigued by this great mountain seal. After all, it was a magic treasure of the Golden Courtier. Pity the magic treasures possess consciousness. Any magic treasure that survives the heavenly tribulation, given time, would likely develop a sense of sentience. Thus, with the demise of both the five light true person and the clear light true person, the great mountain seal had fled. It probably returned to whence it came. At that moment, some Foundation establishment true persons from the Sea Raiders still lingered in the void. Witnessing Lin Fei's terrifying power, they dared not linger. One after another, they activated their magic treasures and fled in an instant. Lin Fei didn't pursue it. There was no point. For him, averting the crisis of Fairy Mist Island was enough. Moreover, he was now devoid of his saber essence. To rejuvenate his saber essence would require time. This was his most vulnerable moment. Still, even in such a state, Lin Fei was a limit martial sate with the energy and blood energy domain. With a whoosh, true person illusion landed before Lin Fei. Elder Lin, are you aware of the identities of those two Foundation establishment true persons? True person illusion inquired gravely, seemingly devoid of any elation. Weren't they Sea Raiders? Lin Fei queried in return. Before you vanquished those two Foundation establishment true persons, Elder Lin, they uttered a name, Tai Dao Palace. And possessing such formidable Golden Courtier magic treasures, it is undoubted they are likely the Foundation establishment true persons from the Tai Dao Palace. Tai Dao Palace. Lin Fei hadn't heard of this sect. Yet, from the expression on true person Lucian's face, this sect seemed of significant consequence. Elder Lin, you've perhaps only recently joined the ancient origin sect. It's understandable if you're unaware of the Tai Dao Palace. The vastness of the ancient continent harbors innumerable martial arts sects and immortal sects. Our Red Hades mansion, the ancient origin sect, and the profound light cave heaven, though secluded, stand relatively firm. Yet, even as these three major powers, we still face a formidable adversary in the Tai Dao Palace. But the Tai Dao Palace is located far from Fairy Mist Island. With Fairy Mist Island lacking resources, why would the Tai Dao Palace disguise themselves as Sea Raiders, intent on seizing it? I fear there are hidden reasons at play. Moreover, the Great Mountain Seal has likely returned to the Tai Dao Palace. Soon, they'll learn of the events here. Elder Lin, while your strength is impressive, the Tai Dao Palace isn't something we at the Foundation, establishment, or martial sect levels should meddle with. It's best to urgently report the presence of the Tai Dao Palace on Fairy Mist Island to our sect. Letting the sect handle this matter would be more prudent. Lin Fei nodded in agreement. Initially, he had only come to resolve the crisis on Fairy Mist Island. Now that the peril had been averted, this matter had no bearing on him. Reporting the appearance of the Tai Dao Palace members on Fairy Mist Island to the sect would alleviate many of his troubles. Thank you for the reminder, true person Lo. As the crisis on Fairy Mist Island has been resolved, I shall take my leave first. Farewell. With that, Lin Fei stepped forward. He didn't meet with members of the 8 great families but chose to leave Fairy Mist Island directly. Lin Fei set his course back to the ancient origin sect. Chapter 257. Spontaneously integrate. In the vast ancient continent stood the great divine mountain, where celestial tunes lingered and mystical mists swirled around. From time to time, heavenly music echoed from within the mountain, ensnaring any mortal who chanced upon its melody. Legend held that if one were to hear these celestial sounds, they were fated with immortality. This was the tale many mortals passed down. However, for the other immortal sects and martial arts schools of the ancient continent, it was known that within the great divine mountain there truly existed an immortal sect. It was named the Tai Dao Palace. The Tai Dao Palace had ancient roots. It was rumored to have been established by a great being. Only those at the nascent soul stage were worthy of being termed as such great beings. While those at the golden core stage could move mountains and oceans with their sheer will, nascent soul cultivators could carry mountains, chase the moon, move stars, and destroy worlds with a mere wave of their hand. Hence, they were called great beings. Golden core cultivators possessed a lifespan of 1,000 years. In contrast, nascent soul cultivators had 10,000 years of longevity. The Tai Dao Palace was founded by one such nascent soul great being. Although after the founder of the Tai Dao Palace passed away, the palace had not birthed another nascent soul great being, its profundity remained unfathomable. Over millennia, the Tai Dao Palace expanded vigorously, conquering dozens of immortal sects and decimating hundreds of martial arts schools. Their influence spanned countless kingdoms. However, in the southeast corner of the ancient continent, they met resistance. The Profound Light Cave Heaven, Red Hades Mansion, and Ancient Origin Sect, two immortal sects and a martial arts school, banded together. Surprisingly, they halted the expanding march of the Tai Dao Palace. Both sides deployed their golden core true person and clashed multiple times. Though the Tai Dao Palace did not face defeat, they didn't gain an upper hand either. As a result, an unspoken truce was established between the two factions, maintaining peace for centuries. Suddenly, a faint grayish beam of light flashed, darting into the great divine mountain. It swiftly entered a cave dwelling within the Tai Dao Palace. With a soft rustle, the golden core true person, Lin Fei, abruptly opened his eyes. Before him floated a majestic and square magic treasure seal, known as the Great Mountain Seal. In truth, this seal was a replica. The real treasure of the Tai Dao Palace was the Great Divine Mountain Seal, personally crafted by the nascent soul founder of the palace who had been suppressing the palace for tens of thousands of years. Even though the seal in front of Lin Fei was a mere replica, it had undergone heavenly tribulations, making it a genuine golden core-level magic treasure. The sight of the grayish Great Mountain Seal brought a grave expression to Lin Fei's face. He reached out and grasped the seal, extracting information embedded within. "My disciples, 5 light and clear light, are dead," he murmured, a deep frown forming on his brow. "Killed by an unfamiliar martial saint." This martial saint was powerful enough to resist the Great Mountain Seal with a single strike, even repelling it. It is suspected to be a martial saint from the Ancient Origin Sect. The cold gleam in Lin Fei's eyes intensified. He even saw the appearance of the said martial saint from within the seal's memories. A young-looking martial saint with 2 flowers above his head, wielding a saber that manifested a 10,000 meters long saber light, accompanied by a saber momentum and blood energy domain. This indicated a top-tier prodigy, likely on the verge of achieving the triple flower pinnacle and breaking through to the level of martial sovereign. Such prowess was nearly impossible for a rogue cultivator. Only a powerful entity like the Ancient Origin Sect could produce such a martial saint, especially one near the Fairy Mist Island. "Looks like we couldn't keep it a secret after all," Lin Fei thought. "That maritime region is too far from our Tai Dao Palace. But now that we've ascertained the location of the Immortal Mansion in that sea area, it'll be easier. Under no circumstances can we, the Tai Dao Palace, miss out on that Immortal Mansion." Thoughts flashed across Lin Fei's mind. Ancient Origin Sect, Red Hades Mansion, Profound Light Cave Heaven, these 3 major forces were indeed tough to handle. The Tai Dao Palace had no immediate plans to wage an all-out war. However, they had unintentionally discovered the existence of the Immortal Mansion in that maritime region. An immortal mansion, left behind by a very ancient nascent soul Great Bane, could contain untold treasures. Originally, the Tai Dao Palace had intended to covertly explore and then dominate the sea area housing the Immortal Mansion. But their unsuccessful attempt to conquer Fairy Mist Island had inadvertently revealed their plans to the ancient Origin sect. Now, the news of the Immortal Mansion was likely no longer a secret. Should the three major forces be alerted, it would become nearly impossible for any member of the Tai Dao Palace to approach that sea region. Lu Feng, in a resolute manner, declared, "If we can't monopolize it, then it shall be a fair game based on each one's capabilities." In a flash, he transformed into a streak of light, heading towards the headmaster of the Tai Dao Palace for consultation. The death of his disciples, 5 Light True Person and Clear Light True Person, seemed less significant now. As a prestigious Golden Core True Person, all he needed to do was remember who the martial saint responsible for their deaths was. He would find plenty of opportunities for revenge in the future. At the ancient Origin sect, Lin Fei gave a detailed report about the 2 suspected Foundation establishment True Persons from the Tai Dao Palace he encountered on Fairy Mist Island. He even mentioned the magic treasure, Great Mountain Seal. Upon hearing about the Great Mountain Seal, the higher-ups of the ancient Origin sect had already formulated some judgments, although these were of no concern to Lin Fei. Lin Fei returned to his cave dwelling and sorted out the spoils from this mission. Although Lin Fei had assisted on this mission, the 8 families had generously rewarded him with treasures. While Lin Fei might not need these treasures, he could exchange them for contribution points at the Treasure Exchange Pavilion. Heading straight to the pavilion, Lin Fei exchanged all the treasures bestowed upon him by the 8 families. To his surprise, the treasures amounted to nearly 24,000 contribution points, averaging 3,000 points for each treasure. Given the stature of these powerful martial saint families, it was only natural that their most precious treasures were extraordinary. This haul had even surpassed the rewards from a regular mission. With his existing 3,600 points, Lin Fei now possessed a total of 27,600 contribution points. With sufficient points in hand, Lin Fei proceeded to post tasks in the task hall. Those who have comprehended the saber intent of the Rainbow Transformation Saber technique can earn 3,000 contribution points for each guidance session. The same offer was extended for the Holy Spirit Saber technique and Flame Burning Heaven Saber. Lin Fei's tasks were specific to saber guidance, and the requirement was to comprehend the saber intent. These 3 saber techniques were true of the martial saint level and even considered among the peak techniques for martial saints. Among all the martial saints in the ancient Origin sect, many might have practiced these 3 saber techniques. However, the number who have truly comprehended the saber intent could probably be counted on one hand. After all, only after mastering the saber technique and gaining deep insight could one potentially manifest the saber intent. It's exceedingly challenging, which is precisely why Lin Fei set the reward at 3,000 contribution points. While the points seemed easy to earn at face value, the actual requirements were lofty. After Lin Fei posted the task, he returned to his cave dwelling to wait quietly. Merely 3 days later, a core disciple named Hu Xiao arrived at Lin Fei's residence. Disciple Hu Xiao pays his respects to Elder Lin, he greeted. Lin Fei recognized Hu Xiao as a core disciple of the ancient Origin sect, specializing in the Rainbow Transformation Saber technique. He also knew that Hu Xiao had managed to cultivate the saber intent of the technique. While Hu Xiao held the status of a core disciple, he dared not show any arrogance in front of Lin Fei. After all, who wasn't aware that Lin Fei was the head elder of the Law Enforcement Hall with significant power? Moreover, with Lin Fei having condensed 2 flowers and even manifesting the transcendent saber momentum, he was regarded as a top genius of the ancient Origin sect with the potential to become a martial sovereign. After defeating Jian Chanyan from the Illusion Warrior City, Lin Fei even gained the unofficial title of the top martial saint of the ancient Origin sect. Since you've taken up the task, you must have comprehended the saber intent of the Rainbow Transformation Saber. Let me give it a try, Lin Fei said calmly. The next moment, his overwhelming saber momentum descended with a thunderous impact. Hu Xiao felt as though several mountains were pressing down on him, his entire body weighed down. Such was the pressure of Lin Fei's saber momentum. The saber in Hu Xiao's hand trembled violently. He realized that drawing his saber under Lin Fei's momentum was an extravagant hope. However, he had the saber intent. With a resonating hum, Hu Xiao unleashed the saber intent of the Rainbow Transformation Saber. It was vast and overwhelming, so powerful that even under Lin Fei's immense saber momentum, it managed to burst forth. Indeed, it is the saber intent of the Rainbow Transformation Saber. Yet, it seems somewhat feeble, perhaps merely in its mastery stage. Lin Fei acknowledged with a subtle nod, his tone measured and serene. To Lin Fei, the mastery-level saber intent of the Rainbow Transformation Saber was hardly noteworthy. However, he coveted that very intent from his adversary. The saber intent is commendable. Yet, even if one grasped saber intent, one must not neglect the technique. This track devoid of saber intent, how are you going to resist? With a flick of Lin Fei's finger, the Rainbow Transformation Saber manifested, instantly transforming into a radiant arc of light, hovering in front of Hu Xiao. I am indebted to Elder Lin for his guidance. Hu Xiao's spirit nearly fled his body. He had momentarily feared he would be cleaved in twain. It was you who enlightened me on saber intent of the Rainbow Transformation Saber. Lin Fei gently shook his head. He had merely wielded the Rainbow Transformation Saber on a whim. Yet, the saber intent still required Hu Xiao's elucidation. The host's Rainbow Transformation Saber technique has profoundly captivated the intent of Hu Xiao's Rainbow Transformation Saber. Hu Xiao's Rainbow Transformation Saber intent ardently seeks to meld with the host's technique. Suddenly, an unforeseen twist occurred. Lin Fei halted mid-step. A voice resonated within his mind. The saber intent of the Rainbow Transformation Saber yearned to spontaneously integrate into his technique. Chapter 258. An invitation from sect leader. Agreed. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Fei silently affirmed in his heart. A sudden thud echoed in his mind, immediately followed by a rush of memories. These were memories of the Rainbow Transformation Saber. From its basics to its beginner, and from its birth to the realization of the saber intent, culminating in its mastery stage. It felt as though Lin Fei had lived through it all himself. All the revelations and insights were instantly clear to him. With a swift motion, Lin Fei's eyes shot open. He realized that these were, in fact, Hu Xiao's full comprehension of the Rainbow Transformation Saber. They were drawn out by Hu Xiao's saber intent and flawlessly integrated into Lin Fei's Rainbow Transformation Saber technique. Your martial art, the Rainbow Transformation Saber technique, has perfectly merged with the Rainbow Transformation Saber intent. You've grasped the saber intent from your Rainbow Transformation Saber technique, reaching its mastery stage. The system's voice reverberated in Lin Fei's mind. Elder Lin, I have demonstrated it all. You. Hu Xiao looked up, a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. After his demonstration of the Rainbow Transformation Saber intent, Lin Fei had remained still, seemingly lost in thought. It's done. Your task is complete. Head to the task hall to claim your reward. Lin Fei finally spoke, his gaze steady as it met Hu Xiao's. The task is complete. Hu Xiao paused, taken aback. That was worth 3,000 contribution points. Even as a true disciple, he had to undertake missions, particularly complex ones, to potentially earn that many points. And now, merely demonstrating the Rainbow Transformation Saber intent, he had completed the task and earned 3,000 points. However, Lin Fei was an elder of the Law Enforcement Hall and a limit martial sate, Hu Xiao naturally trusted his words. Then, I shall take my leave. With that, Hu Shao promptly exited the cave dwelling. Lin Fei watched his retreating figure. Hu Shao's saber intent from the rainbow transformation saber seamlessly integrated with Lin Fei's technique. Of course, this had no effect on Hu Shao. Should Hu Shao remain driven, relying on his own insights, there was still a chance for his rainbow transformation saber intent to transcend, even achieve perfection. But for Lin Fei, this was profoundly significant. Having reached the mastery stage meant that Lin Fei was one step closer to evolving his saber momentum. Moreover, from this incident, Lin Fei uncovered a method to birth the saber intent from the saber technique. The saber intent of the rainbow transformation saber, why did it willingly integrate into Lin Fei's technique? Lin Fei pondered deeply. It was probably due to him manifesting the rainbow transformation saber technique within his saber momentum. That had subdued the rainbow transformation saber's saber intent. After all, when Lin Fei unleashed the rainbow transformation saber technique, he harnessed the saber essence, amplified further by the power of saber momentum. Even if Hu Shao utilized his saber intent, it certainly couldn't match Lin Fei's technique. With the rainbow transformation saber technique, Lin Fei had the capability to slay even a limit martial saint in a single strike. Hence, it was perfectly reasonable for the saber intent of the rainbow transformation saber to be subdued by Lin Fei's technique. So, can I continue to subdue the saber intent of other saber techniques? And if the saber intent of other techniques reaches perfection and then integrates into my saber technique, perhaps my own saber intent could directly achieve perfection? A glint sparkled in Lin Fei's eyes. However, he was well aware. Be it the rainbow transformation saber technique, the flame-burning heaven saber, or even the Holy Spirit saber technique, they were all of the martial saint levels. Within the ancient origin sect, how many could perfect the saber intent of a martial saint level technique? Even if there were any, it probably wouldn't be from these three techniques. Nevertheless, just comprehending the saber intent was sufficient. Once the saber intent was grasped, one would naturally be a step closer to manifesting the saber momentum. The reward of 3,000 contribution points did not disappoint Lin Fei. Subsequently, 2 more martial saints arrived, having recognized Lin Fei's reward task. Their primary techniques were the flame-burning heaven saber and the Holy Spirit saber technique, respectively. Moreover, both had birthed their own saber intents, albeit at a mastery stage. For a martial saint level saber technique to generate a saber intent was already a rare achievement. Reaching transcendence or even perfection was exceedingly challenging. System. Lin Fei accessed the system panel to review the progress of his martial arts. Host, Lin Fei. Martial arts realm, limit martial saint. True intention myriad transformation technique, perfection. Blood essence 9 transformations, perfection. Holy Spirit saber technique, saber intent, mastery, progress 14%. Flame burning heaven saber, saber intent, mastery, progress 62%. Rainbow transformation saber technique, saber intent, mastery, progress 32%. Saber momentum, transcendence, progress 0%. All 3 martial saint level saber techniques had birthed their own saber intent. Although they were still in the mastery stages, as long as he reached saber intent, Lin Fei had a method to enhance them. The method Lin Fei employed was simple, honing the saber intent. Using stronger saber intents to constantly refine the 3 types of saber intents. Back when Lin Fei was at the 9 Profound Sect, this was the method he utilized to elevate his saber intent. At that time, he needed to seek out other saber intents and spar with others. Now, he didn't need to. Within Lin Fei's saber momentum, there were countless perfected saber intents. If one type of saber intent wasn't sufficient, then 2, 3, 4. He could use as many as he desired. Under such circumstances, Lin Fei's 3 saber intents were honed daily, making steady progress. While it was uncertain if he could achieve the state of evolving saber momentum, under the relentless daily refinement of numerous saber intents, reaching transcendence should not be a problem. Time passed swiftly. Lin Fei immersed himself in his chamber, refining his saber and tense day after day. This was something Lin Fei couldn't skip over. He had already condensed the energy flower and chi flower. Only the spirit flower was left. Only by achieving perfection in saber momentum could he attempt to condense the spirit flower. As a result, Lin Fei had no choice but to keep honing his saber intent. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. On this day, a martial sage appeared outside Lin Fei's chamber. "Elder Lin, the sect master wishes to see you." "Sect master?" Lin Fei opened his eyes. The martial sage was holding the sect master's decree, indeed representing the sect master. However, Lin Fei was slightly taken aback. Despite having been in the ancient origin sect for quite some time, he had never met the sect master in person. Even though Lin Fei had established quite a formidable reputation, he had only ever met the chief of the law enforcement hall, known as Wind Sovereign. Both the leader of the ancient origin sect and Wind Sovereign held the esteemed title of Martial Sovereign. Ordinarily, Lin Fei had no interactions with the sect leader. However, a sudden summons from the leader now gave him pause. Surely, something significant must have transpired. "Lead the way," Lin Fei commanded without hesitation, promptly rising to follow the martial sage. "What might the sect leader want with me?" Lin Fei inquired of the martial sage beforehand. With a faint smile, the martial sage reassured, "Elder Lin, there is no cause for concern. It is likely good news. The chief of the law enforcement hall, Wind Sovereign, is currently with the sect leader." "Wind Sovereign?" A flicker of realization crossed Lin Fei's eyes. He had a vague inkling of why the leader might have called for him. It was probably at the behest of Wind Sovereign. After all, Wind Sovereign was well aware of Lin Fei's capabilities. If the leader had sought Lin Fei's presence, it undoubtedly concerned a grave matter pertaining to the ancient origin sect. Still, Lin Fei refrained from overthinking. Meeting the sect leader and Wind Sovereign would reveal all. "We have arrived at the grand hall of the ancient origin sect," the martial saint announced. "Elder Lin, please enter." Both the sect leader and Wind Sovereign await inside. Lin Fei, gazing upon the magnificent hall before him, didn't hesitate and stepped confidently inside. Chapter 259. Immortal Mansion Task. With a soft swish, Lin Fei had barely stepped into the grand hall when he immediately became the focus of many piercing gazes. Seated in prominent positions were two martial artists. One was a face Lin Fei recognized well. It was none other than the chief of the law enforcement hall, the esteemed Martial Sovereign, Wind Sovereign. Beside Wind Sovereign sat another martial artist exuding an aura of authority. Without needing an introduction, Lin Fei deduced that this must be the leader of the ancient origin sect, another of the famed martial sovereigns. Within the hall, other figures, though only martial saints, were key figures in the ancient origin sect, the chief of the transmission hall, the master of the treasure exchange pavilion, and the chief of the task hall, among others. While these martial artists weren't martial sovereigns, each had harnessed the power of at least two flowers, marking them as formidable forces and core members of the ancient origin sect. Besides the reclusive and meditating elder figures of the sect, almost every influential individual who had a say in the sect's affairs was present. The scale of the gathering indicated the gravity of the situation. "Greetings, sect leader, Wind Sovereign, and esteemed elders," Lin Fei offered a modest salute towards the sect leader and Wind Sovereign. For the others, he simply gave a nod of acknowledgement. As the foremost elder of the law enforcement hall and next only to the sovereigns, his standing was second to none. At most, some might have had slightly more authority, but in terms of status, Lin Fei was undoubtedly at the core of the ancient origin sect. "Elder Lin, please take a seat," the sect leader gestured after observing Lin Fei, and a chair materialized beside him. Without any pretense, Lin Fei settled down. Assessing his seating, he realized he had been given a prominent position. In certain contexts, seating arrangements symbolized one's stature, and the sect leader's gesture acknowledged Lin Fei's competence and standing. Elder Lin, began the sect leader, we've summoned you today for a consultation. Regarding the last matter you reported, concerning the appearance of a Foundation establishment cultivator from Tai Dao Palace on the Fairy Mist Island. After you brought this to our attention, our sect took it very seriously and commenced an investigation into Tai Dao Palace. As it turns out, there was indeed a matter of concern. Just a few days ago, Tai Dao Palace proactively contacted the Ancient Origin Sect, Profound Light Cave Heaven, and Red Hades Mansion, the three major forces. They admitted that they couldn't keep their secret any longer and revealed their reason for heading to Fairy Mist Island. In that maritime region lies an immortal mansion left behind by a nascent soul Great Bane. They've even ascertained its approximate location. All three factions have dispatched martial sovereigns and golden core true persons to explore that maritime region along with the cultivators from Tai Dao Palace. It is indeed an immortal mansion, the sect leader continued. But this mansion is no ordinary place. It is protected by a powerful array. Even for us, the martial sovereigns and golden core true persons, it's challenging to break through. Yet, since the mansion is without a master, we managed to work together and create a small entrance in the protective array, just enough for someone to enter. However, this entrance only allows martial saints or Foundation establishment cultivators to enter. If a golden core true person or martial sovereign attempts to go in, the array would exert a powerful suppressive force. If that happens, the mansion will disappear and become untraceable. After discussions with Tai Dao Palace, our three factions decided to deploy our golden core true persons and martial sovereigns to suppress the mansion's array for 1 month. This will give our Foundation establishment true persons and martial saints the opportunity to enter the mansion and search for treasures. While the three factions will enter and exit together, we can't overlook the allure of the treasures inside an immortal mansion left by a nascent soul Great Bane. Disputes might arise over the ownership of these treasures, especially with members of Tai Dao Palace present. All factions will undoubtedly send their top-tier Foundation establishment cultivators into the mansion. Although the Ancient Origin Sect is a martial arts sect, the treasures left behind by a nascent soul Great Being can be highly beneficial to martial artists too. Hence, we have decided that Elder Lin will lead our sect's elite martial saints to the mansion to secure these treasures. Elder Lin, what are your thoughts? Everyone's eyes were now on Lin Fei. He took a moment to digest everything that the sect leader had conveyed. An immortal mansion. Beneath the waters of the Fairy Mist Island was a mansion left behind by a nascent soul Great Bane. Even though Lin Fei was a martial artist, he was well aware of the cultivation system of the immortal Dao. A golden core cultivator could live for 1,000 years and was regarded as an ancestral figure. As for nascent soul, they could live for 10,000 years with vast powers enough to destroy worlds. Becoming a nascent soul meant truly becoming a Great Bane. On the vast ancient continent, nascent soul powerhouses could roam freely and dominate. An immortal mansion left behind by such power could cause countless factions to become desperate for possession. It was now clear why Tai Dao Palace had secretly attempted to take control of Fairy Mist Island. They probably wanted to monopolize the mansion. Fortunately, their plans were disrupted by Lin Fei, and not only did they fail to gain control over the island, but their covert actions were also exposed. Knowing they couldn't keep it a secret, they openly communicated with the three major factions, proposing a joint exploration of the mansion. The mansion's protective array, even without the presence of a nascent soul Great Bane, remained formidable. It was not something that golden core true persons or martial sovereigns could break easily. The four sects joined forces and they barely managed to breach a tiny opening in the formation. It only allowed those at the Foundation establishment level to enter the immortal mansion. The four forces, naturally, coveted the treasures within the mansion. Thus, they would send their Foundation true persons and martial saints into the mansion. Lin Fei weighed his options. With the might of a nascent soul cultivator, even if not a martial arts great being, the paths of martial arts and immortality converged. The remnants might very well benefit martial artists. Under no circumstance could the ancient origin sect remain indifferent to this mansion. As for the risks, Lin Fei had considered them. Venturing into the mansion was undoubtedly perilous. But with his current prowess, Lin Fei was confident. Protecting himself shouldn't prove challenging. Thus, Lin Fei had made up his mind. Sect leader, when sovereign, I wish to journey to the immortal mansion. However, I have a minor request. Lin Fei stated, neither humble nor arrogant, in a calm tone. Elder Lin, state your request. To enter the mansion, only I should go. The other martial saints, I fear they would only be burdens to me. Therefore, for this venture into the mansion, I wish to go alone. As Lin Fei's words settled, the crowd was abuzz. Especially the martial saints present in the grand hall. One by one, their expressions darkened. Their eyes fixed on Lin Fei, revealing their displeasure. What did Lin Fei mean by that statement? Was he looking down on all the martial saints of the ancient origin sect? Even if they were the elders and leaders who stood at the pinnacle of martial saints, they were also the burdens Lin Fei spoke of. Elder Lin, you might be underestimating the martial saints of our ancient origin sect. Indeed, Elder Lin's strength is awe-inspiring, capable of defeating Jiang Tianyuan of the Illusion Worry City. However, the depth of our ancient origin sect is unparalleled. Where can Illusion Worry City even compare? Even for Jiang Tianyuan, there are no less than 10 martial saints in the ancient origin sect who can defeat him. Elder Lin, having joined the ancient origin sect midway, perhaps you do not truly grasp our essence. Our ancient origin sect boasts a profound legacy. We have numerous formidable martial saints. Defeating Jiang Tianyuan doesn't render one invincible amongst the martial saints. To view other martial saints as burdens, Elder Lin, you might be overestimating yourself. For a moment, virtually all of the martial saint elders were discontented with Lin Fei. Only the Wind Sovereign and the sect leader remained silent. Both of them understood clearly. Lin Fei's accomplishments weren't just limited to defeating Jiang Tianyuan. Lin Fei had also repelled the golden core level magic treasure, the Great Mountain Seal. He even killed the 2 proud disciples of the Tai Dao Palace. With a swift glance, Lin Fei's cold voice rang out, if any dissenters exist, you are welcome to test my strength in the arena. I don't wish to enter the perilous immortal mansion while being distracted by the need to protect others. Lin Fei didn't intend to offend everyone. However, entering the immortal mansion posed undeniable risks. Lin Fei didn't want to be burdened with protecting others. Furthermore, acting alone, he could operate without any restraints. The gains would surely be much more than if several martial saints acted together. There might be dangers within the immortal mansion. Elder Lin's concerns are understandable. If anyone truly has confidence, they can challenge Elder Lin on the platform. Even teaming up is permissible. Elder Lin, you wouldn't mind, would you? When Sovereign suddenly interjected. This was akin to pouring oil onto a raging fire. All the martial saints' faces turned unsightly. Only the sect leader and Wind Sovereign retained their composure. Their gaze toward Lin Fei carried a subtle depth. I don't mind. Team up if you wish. I'll take on all challenges. Lin Fei responded indifferently.